Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. You have tuned in to the Rebel News live stream. It is Thursday, September 3rd, 2020. And normally actually, not normally, because every Tuesday and Thursday for months now, Sheila Gunn-Reid and myself have been here in place of Ezra Levent to give the big boss man a break, to tackle some very important projects, and time is indeed precious. So thank you again for tuning in. I'm David Menzies, and as I mentioned, my lovely co-host is Sheila the She-Devil Gunn-Reid. How are you doing today, Sheila?
You know, you have a nickname for me. You call me Sheila the She-Devil, but we should call you the Outlaw David Menzies, shouldn't we?
I prefer Canadian badass.
I don't know. I think you might be upselling yourself a little bit there. But yeah, we've been doing this Tuesdays and Thursdays together. You and I used to fill in sometimes for Ezra on Fridays when he was traveling, but nobody travels anymore because the world is locked down. But yeah. I think we're on our 6th month of hosting Tuesdays and Thursdays because we started this at the beginning of the pandemic. And from what I understand, we're on the 6th month of 2 weeks to flatten the curve, I think, about now. So that's what we've been doing. We've been actually giving our viewers more news because there is more news than ever before during this pandemic. And the mainstream media have just decided to stay home and, I don't know, report on Justin Trudeau's socks or whatever he's doing that day when he strolls out of the cottage half high and brushes his hair to the side, whatever. And I love the live streams because they're a great way for our viewers to get to know us in sort of an unscripted kind of fun way. I mean, I think everybody's gotten to know Ezra a lot better over the course of the pandemic, and you get to see David and I interact as friends because we are definitely friends. I have great affection for David.
Likewise.
But it also... Oh, thanks. And it gives our viewers a chance to interact with each other in the live stream, which they're doing. They start talking to each other like 20 minutes before the show starts, which is kind of fun because I poke in and see what's going on. But it also gives our viewers a chance to support the work that we do here at Rebel News completely, willingly, through something called the Super Chat. You could just click the little $sign at the bottom of the live chat, throw some money in there in whatever currency you want. I love Googling new kinds of currencies so that I don't get it wrong and figuring out the exchange rate. That's fun. And it'll highlight your question, query, or comment to the top of the screen. You can put a question in there. Maybe you have a question for David because he had an exciting night last night. Maybe you have a topic that you want to suggest to us. Maybe you have a wrestling versus the culture question that you'd like me to tackle, because apparently I'm an expert at the intersection of 80s wrestling and conservative culture. Who knew? And it's a great way to support the work we do completely willingly, unlike what they do to you, the government, with this CBC. And boy, you know what? Do we need our viewers' help more than ever these days, don't we?
We do, and it's because of things like what happened last night where I guess I'm jumping to the conclusion of the story. My trespass ended up being a $65 ticket. Now, on the scale of 1 to 10 of what the cops could have done to me, that is an even 0.5. That's the lowest of the lowest penalty, which to me, Sheila, suggests that the cops' hearts weren't in on this. You know, they are being directed. I mean, this was the opposite of having the book thrown at me. This was the bare minimum they could do. So you're saying to yourself, and by the way, Ezra said something I thought so profound. That ticket is $65. If it costs $65,000 to defend it, we will. And again, it's not about the money, folks. It's the principle. It's about shutting down the practice of journalism in a public space at the whims of a vindictive mayor, a petty little man, Sheila, who didn't even show up. And here's the full story, folks. We, as you know, since the first Wednesday in August, I've been going to the Earnscliffe Recreation Centre in Brampton, Ontario, very much a bedroom community northwest of Toronto. And it's to scrum Patrick Brown because we were tipped off correctly that he arranged the ice rink to open early, allegedly, for him and his friends, most of whom I understand are from Barrie. They don't even live in Brampton, so he can play a little game of hockey. And I don't know if we, it's worth, I think, playing, Sheila, for those who haven't seen the video,
please.
The so-called gotcha moment where I went into the rink. Patrick Brown was late, probably in traffic. And we have that first encounter, and I think the look on his face.
Priceless.
It's the kid not only with his hand in the cookie jar, but his wrist is jammed into the cookie. You can't get the cookie jar detached from his limb. So I don't know.
He was the cat. He was the cat that ate the canary, and he still had the feathers hanging out of his mouth.
Yeah,
like, it was ridiculous.
And belching and going, what canary? And more feathers coming out of the mouth with every belch. So, Mr. Producer, do we have that initial encounter? I think Justin's going to look into it. Oh, we're having a little technical problem, folks, but Justin, I was trying to get the original encounter with Patrick Brown from the first week in August when he was in the rink. Do we have that? Okay, so Justin's going to look for that. And, some things to note, folks. First of all, after this happened, and Patrick Brown went on to mainstream media to make excuses, he lied. He said that I said I was from Maple Leafs TV. Now, Sheila, the first thing is, Maple Leafs TV as an entity doesn't even exist. There was something called Leafs TV, owned by Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment. It has since been rebranded as Leafs Nation Network. But that's besides the point, because if I was impersonating a Maple Leafs TV reporter, why would I hold a Rebel News mic flash? I mean, that's a pretty pathetic impersonation.
You didn't just hold a Rebel News mic flash. You're like, oh, hi, David Menzies, Rebel News.
Yeah, I know.
If you're impersonating someone, you're doing a hell of a terrible job. Like that. Why? Because you were wearing a tracksuit? Sorry, but Patrick Brown was wearing a business suit. So does that mean that he was impersonating a respectable man? Because he's also doing that poorly.
Yeah, he was inspecting the premier. He would have been if he hadn't gone around screwing everybody back 2 years ago when his own party threw him out. You're absolutely right. And the second lie, and there's so many, folks, maybe you can see on this video clip we're about to play, maybe not, but he was claiming on the mainstream media, I only got there at 5:50, implying, Sheila, that since the ice time ended at 6, oh, by the way, it didn't. It went on far longer than 6. But the implication was I didn't have enough time to change and play hockey because, the hour was up in 10 minutes. Well, he's standing in front of a clock that says 5:25. He had plenty of time to get into his gear and play hockey. So it's just one lie after the other. But let's just run that first clip that got this whole Coyote Roadrunner Hour show started way back in the first week of August, folks.
You know where Patrick Brown might be?
Yeah, he hasn't showed up yet.
Oh, okay. He does play here, though, right?
He does.
Oh, okay. Then that confirms it.
Operator of the building.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, we can't have people just randomly coming in here.
Oh, why is that? I see a whole bunch of hockey players playing a game, sir.
Rented the ice.
Well, folks, we're getting the bum's rush, but holy mackerel, I think I see Patrick Brown himself.
Oh, hey, how you doing?
Mr. Brown, right? Yeah. David Menzies with Rebel News.
You're in a city facility?
What's that?
You're in a city facility?
Yeah, so are you.
Yeah.
So, are you playing hockey here? Or?
No, I'm just coming to check in our facility. So
Okay,
we're gonna check you. You're not supposed to be here, actually.
We were told that you play pickup here. Mr. Brown, how come the kids in Brampton can only practice sports, but your buddies can play hockey?
So, I don't know why you are harassing people in the city of Brampton, but you shouldn't be.
Oh, who's harassing who? Your guy handed out 122 bylaw violations in 1 week. Mr. Brown, why is there a hockey game going on in this arena? I thought you're only allowed to practice sports, not play them. And who is paying the $1,000 a day, Mr. Brown, for this rink? Mr. Brown, are these taxpayer dollars being used for your buddies to play hockey on this rink? Or are you paying it? Or perhaps Waleed Solomon? So, Mr. Brown, why is it one law for me and one law for thee in this city? Mr. Brown? So,
You don't even have a mask.
you know what? Patrick Brown just left and he didn't have a mask either, sir.
I'm just the operator. I don't know who's coming on the ice.
Well,
Guys, come on.
he's the chief.
Okay,
He's.
I get it. You're leaving. Come on, let's go.
I'm not leaving, sir. This is a taxpayer-funded facility. I have every right as a taxpayer to be here, sir. I'm not trying to give you a hard time.
Well, you are giving me a hard time.
Well, I'm trying to find out why kids can't play soccer or baseball or cricket. They can only practice. And Mayor Patrick Brown's friends are playing a full hockey game here.
I don't know.
Okay, then. So if you eject us, you have to eject them. Fair enough. Phone the police. You just saw we did encounter Patrick Brown. Patrick Brown not wearing a mask, by the way, as we were told to do by the rink attendant. And I ask you, does this look like a practice or a hockey game? Well, I've played hockey most of my life, folks. That's a game. Hey, nice save, by the way. That is no practice. I don't see little orange pine cones on the ice and players aren't doing figure eight drills and passing the puck around. But this is an absolute outrage that Patrick Brown has got the ice sheet on here, on the sly, and he's breaking the rules of playing as opposed to practicing. Of course, he never got a chance to get his equipment on. He scurried away with his assistant. And
Yeah, you know, so many angles there, and we cut it, Sheila, just before I discovered a orange Wayne Gretzky hockey bag with Patrick Brown's name and number, 00, by the way, folks. I swear I'm not making this up. Which he would later claim on mainstream media wasn't his hockey bag. He gets so many hockey bags that he gives them away to other people. But why was all the hockey equipment?
Who's giving him hockey bags, by the way?
Pardon me?
What a weird. Who's giving him hockey bags, by the way? What a weird gift to give. It's not true. It's just, I think that's just another lie.
You know, great point, Sheila. It's almost like a Hollywood celebrity when they go to awards ceremonies and you get those swag bags, and it's stuff I don't need, so I give them to my assistants. But evidently, it's almost like Patrick Brown goes to a whole lot of hockey events. Yeah, a beer league hockey player, folks, not an ex-NHL or anything. And so he had the Wayne Gretzky hockey bag. And to make the story stick, the next time we saw him, and this says a lot about Patrick Brown, I think, he wasn't there with his orange Wayne Gretzky hockey bag because he had to make that story fly that this was a giveaway to some lackey. He was now toting around a Pittsburgh Penguins number 66 Mario Lemieux hockey bag. So he's gone from the likeness of the greatest hockey player that ever played the game, Wayne Gretzky, to arguably the second greatest, Mario Lemieux. I mean, this is what's in his mind of how Patrick Brown sees himself.
Yeah.
Right?
You know, did you notice? Every time I watch it, I notice it, but I forget to mention it to you. Patrick Brown seems shocked to see you in a city facility, as though he forgot to have one of his lackeys issue you a trespass warning sooner.
Yeah.
Did you notice that? He's always like, oh, you're in a Brampton city facility? You're in a city facility? Yeah, because you're allowed. You're a member of the public. You can go in city facilities. It's like he's like, oh, shoot, I forgot to ban him sooner, and now he's here.
And also, Sheila, look what he said when I said, "Are you here to play hockey?" He says, "No, just to check out the facility." So you came down in a nice designer business suit with your driver,
Hockey
your
bag.
Mercedes driver, and it's to do what? Check the Freon levels, do a little fix-up job on the Zamboni. Are you kidding me? And by the way, did that Rink pass your inspection, Mr. Mayor? And boy, that was a quick inspection, because he sure got out of Dodge really quickly into a Mercedes that was parked on 2 spaces, the ultimate D-bag move to do. And then, I don't know if you could catch this, but folks, if you go back to the video, you'll see, had a license plate obscuring plastic shield on it. I wonder why that would be. Is it because the electronic toll highway, the 407, goes through Brampton, and if you obscure your rear plate, well, you avoid the toll? I mean, holy Mackinac, Sheila. It just gets worse and worse. So anyways, we've been trying to, and by the way, and then when I made the comment, was it your friend Waleed Solomon who's paying for this? And I said that because Waleed Solomon is a millionaire, very successful lawyer, did a great job fundraising for the PC party when it was pretty much, destitute. And Patrick Brown saw that as an example of Islamophobia. That's what he claimed in the mainstream media. To me, it doesn't matter if Waleed Solomon is a Muslim, a Buddhist, a Jew, a Christian, a Scientologist. That was irrelevant, So he just, A, lies like a rug, and B, brings out all these comments of defamation against me and the Rebel News team, Sheila. And it just seems that for the most part, the mainstream media is just shrugging. And one last thing. I believe it was on July 10th that Patrick Brown signed in the mandatory mask rule. How come he's not leading by example? I had a mask on until it fell off during my chase of Patrick Brown. And also, he said, why am I harassing the people of Brampton? Sheila, at last check, Brampton, through its bylaw department, and I think that the number one municipality in a bad way across Canada, had issued something like more than 600 of those Wuhan virus $880 tickets to its residents. That's outrageous. And something like 1,500 warnings. And there was somebody that had a house party. Not only did he get the 880 ticket, but Patrick Brown was trying to figure out a way to fine him $100,000. In other words, financially ruin this citizen because he had the temerity to invite some guests over to his house to have a party. But those rules clearly do not apply to him, do they, Sheila?
No, he's just like Nancy Pelosi. He's the male Pelosi, isn't he? We should get through some of these super chats because I think everybody here has probably tuned in to see exactly why you almost spent the night in the Crowbar Hotel.
Okay.
What do you think?
So should we just run that footage and then we'll get to the super chats?
Maybe we'll get to the super chats first.
Okay.
And then we'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll show you what happened last night, folks.
Because we have better quality video than what I went to air with last night. I'm deaf in one ear from the wind. Craig McDonald gives us $2.79. David, has prison time hardened you? Great work. Abu Baker Al Puff Daddy gives us $10. Good morning, Gunny and Menzoid. David, how are you this morning? We were all worried. I donated to your bail fund. How were you treated?
Treated very well, actually, because as I said earlier, and by the way, and thank you for the donation, the cops' hearts weren't in on this. They're clearly being directed from above, and I thought I was on my way to jail. That's where you assume you're going when you're put into the backseat of a police cruiser. It's not to go to the country fair, but there was all kinds of chatter. And I think originally they were just going to drive me off the property, but they didn't even do that. I think the optics of me being driven away to destination unknown would have looked really bad. So they were told by their higher-ups not to do that. They realized what a soup they were in. So I was detained for approximately half an hour in the cramped back seat of a police cruiser, and then I was let out and escorted off the property. But that's it.
That's it. Great Informer gives us $5. Justin Trudeau got a black eye fighting cancer. Joe Biden needs special weapons and tactics to swat a fly. Great Informer gives us $2. Rebel anything to help out independent media. Thank you very much. Unjust Untrudeau, $2. Sheila, most underrated wrestler ever.
Oh.
Okay. Of course, Tatanka. I love Tatanka. I think he was. I think his record speaks for itself. Ricky Steamboat should have a broader legacy than he does. Arn Anderson, Ric Flair's little henchman guy, goon. He was Ric Flair's goon, which was kind of fun. But I think because I'm Albertan, I would say that the Dynamite Kid is probably the most underrated wrestler. He wrestled in Stampede Wrestling here in Alberta, and then when he went to WWF, I think it was at the time, he coupled with the British Bulldog, and he recently died. But yeah, I think he would probably be the most underrated wrestler as far as legacy goes.
That was a fantastic tag team. I think I agree with you. Yeah, Dynamite Kid and both of those wrestlers paid an incredible toll onto their personal body in terms of the stunts they were doing in the ring. I think my choice, Sheila, would be the Genius.
Oh, yes.
I mean, when you can cut a promo in which the entire promo is in rhyming couplets, right?
I know.
And we're a mortarboard, and then actually defeat, admittedly by disqualification, Hulk Hogan on Saturday Night Main Event. Just for that one moment in the sun, the Genius, who I believe, wasn't he the brother of the Macho Man Randy Savage?
I'm not sure, but I just remember the utter marketing madness of making a complete and total nerd seem macho, and then making him kind of the heel because he was such an uptight nerd. I mean, great. Like, that time in wrestling was a wonderful time to be alive. Kids don't understand. Kids today don't understand.
God, I miss the 80s, Sheila. If only someone could come up with a DeLorean with the flux capacitor attached. I'm going back into the 80s. I want to leave all this madness we're in behind.
I know.
It was such a simpler, nicer time, wasn't it?
Oh, I know. It was much better. Funner time.
And great music, too.
I don't know. Depends on the genre. Tim Evans, 64, gives us $20. And he says it's to buy David a cake with a file in it. David would probably just eat the file. Santino gives us $5. Have you guys heard if there will be another protest happening in Ottawa on September 7th? I heard about it weeks ago, however, not hearing anything about it these days. I'm trying to pay attention to the things that are happening in Ottawa. It's just so far away from me as far as protests go, but I think there is something happening. And I think we might have somebody going.
And Sheila, I know September 12th, isn't that the gun protest?
That's the gun protest.
Oh, and by the way, when I say the gun protest, folks, no one's protesting against Sheila Gunn Reid. It's about the...
I'm surprised, actually, that nobody has.
It's about the gun grab. And, we have I call her the head of the Coburg Bureau, Tamara Ugolini. She's closer to Ottawa, Kingston than certainly I am. So she is always gung-ho for those kinds of trips, and she does a great job. So maybe that'll be something Tamara can look into. September 7th, right?
Yeah, and September 12th, I think, is the gun grab rally in Ottawa. And as far, I think, I saw this sort of breeze past my email, but it sounds like the petition to against the gun grab is the largest petition in Canadian history.
Wow.
Yeah. So I think Rempel co-sponsored that. Great Informer gives us $5. Trudeau orders a BLT without bacon, lettuce, and tomato. Joe Biden goes to church with a praying mantis. Kamala Harris throws a baseball at Batman. A Great Informer gives us $2. Trudeau shows up for work to climb down a ladder. Vito Anthony D, $5. David, you big sexy jailbird, you. Here's a 5 for a cake file.
I'll take the top bunk, please.
Yeah. No kidding. Adam Clark gives us $6.99, and this is something I loved when Gavin said this. David, it's like Gavin McInnes says, it's not F the police, it's F the police's boss.
Yeah.
Love you guys. Yeah, it's true. Their political bosses are making them do this. You could tell those cops were so not into what they were doing that day that they didn't even care to know the law. They didn't even want to know anything to do with anything. They just wanted whatever was happening to just go away that minute, which is actually kind of terrible policing when you think about it. They're supposed to be out there to resolve the problem, but it's pretty clear their hearts weren't in any of it.
100%.
And as soon as I get through this, you can see for yourself. Great Informer gives us $5. Joe Biden needs special weapons and tactics to swat a fly. Justin Trudeau got a black eye thing. Okay, we did that one. Tina Fivesten, what is SEK 50 of those? Maybe Justin can figure that out. David, you've been terrorized by the KGB establishment, but so nice to see you here now. Definitely. David's too pretty for jail. It's far too pretty for jail. Oh, is that Swedish? Swedish money? Swedish kroners?
Okay. Wow.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Slyman 649 gives us $10. I saw MP Anthony Housefather's representative on the STM bus in Montreal, and he told me he doesn't like my Rebel News multi-use and face mask. I have one of those that I use for like dirt biking, quadding, keeps the dust off. And you know what? I don't care. Yeah, you know what? Great alternative to a face mask if you have to wear a face mask because you need to get groceries and you just don't want the hassle. Get one of those Rebel News multi-use. It's like a buff, I guess is what they call them. Kane Enmark gives us $10. I'm wondering what happened with the gay beating with Keane's file. Stay tuned. Keane's got a video coming out about it today, and he had a written article that went up on the website yesterday that generated a lot of interest. Yeah. Should I keep one eye open walking with my gay friends? I'm not as nice as David if the Muslims come for me. Keane's got a story coming out today. I don't want to give it all away, but it doesn't look like this is being investigated as a hate crime, and Keane wants to know why. Ricky Maldo gives us $1. Thank you very much. I don't see a super chat. Jack Hatter, 48, gives us $10. Thank you for your great work, Rebel reporters all. Run, Patrick, run. The look on his face when David walks up is just priceless. It's my favorite. It's the face my husband makes when I open the gun safe and I'm like, what's this new one? And he's like, Great Informer gives us $2. Don Lemon covers the news with a blanket. MEDW, $5. 4 ways Sneaky Patrick may spend the $65 fine. New car battery. So funny. So funny. His car hardly turned over in his first getaway from David.
How beautiful would it have been, what I was going to do, Sheila, just to show you the kind of guy I am, I go, Patrick, my vehicle is just a couple of spaces over. Do you need a boost?
David, you drive an electric car. You can't boost anything. You can't even charge your phone unless it's driving. A legal license plate, donuts for the Blue Battalion, change sweater number from 00 to 65 to honor the Menzoid. Is that a joke about David's age? Because that's rude. Kidding. MVP gives us $5. You guys are the Medicine Sans front. Yeah, the Doctors Without Borders. You guys are the Medicine Sans frontier of journalism. Oh, thanks very much. Randy Smith gives us $2. Ed Whalen was the toughest of them all. Yeah, fair enough. Annalisa S. gives us $13.99. Love you all. Keep up the great work. Basil the Pumpkin Seagull gives us $5. It's so sad how the police should be there to serve and protect, but have become the elites enforcers instead. It is sad because I think a lot of these cops did not sign up for this. They signed up to make communities safer, and then all of a sudden they're like the political henchmen of a corrupt mayor. that's got to be demoralizing to the police force.
And Sheila, I might add that the vindictiveness of Patrick Brown is going to be his undoing. We are fighting that little $65 trespass ticket, and we're going to get disclosure, and we're going to file FOIs. We want to see whose greasy fingerprints was all over this behind the scenes, who the puppet masters were. Because I can tell you, if this was an individual, I don't know, trespassing in a shopping center, which has a higher degree of, private property, I'm searching for the right word. I mean, it's not a taxpayer-funded public place, but you would never see 5 police cruisers whip over to Shoppers World in Brampton to deal with somebody trespassing in a mall, for example. This is completely, I think, politically motivated.
Yeah. Speaking of greasy fingerprints, I once again thought my computer screen was dirty, but I just wasn't wearing my glasses. And I forgot. Let's keep going. Piotr Olzowski, that's a heck of a Polish name, gives us $9.99. Greetings to my Canadian Patriots from longtime fans south of the border in Florida. I love Florida because you guys didn't really lock down.
Yeah.
You guys were the anti-New York. You protected your old people and let your young people be free.
Yep.
And the results for themselves as far as the coronavirus numbers go. Observer Dude gives us £5. Why exactly was David arrested? What law did he break? David will get to that in a second, but he's a trespasser. Basil the Pump and Seagull gives us $2. There's a pro-gun march September 12th, according to the CCFR. Yes. Sneaky Beaver gives us $5. Mr. Menzoid, do you dare go back to the arena in a week for more entertainment? Put on a fake mustache. You should. Like the Groucho Marx mustache and just go in there.
Yeah, and Patrick Brown will say he was impersonating one of the Marx brothers to get an interview with them.
Wear your Leafs tracksuit, because that seems to very much confuse them. They're like, I don't know who that is. He's wearing a Leafs tracksuit. Looks exactly like David Menzoid. Marcus Starr gives us $3.99. Trump's greatest moment.
You know what? I'm going to tell you his greatest moment is it's going to be the victory speech on November 3rd. It's still to come.
I say it's the peace deal between Israel and the UAE, because I think that's going to just grow. It's going to ripple out across the Gulf states, and it's going to be the dawn of a new age in the Middle East. And I'm very excited for it, because it's about time that someone has done something tangible to bring peace to the Middle East that doesn't involve Israel giving terrorists land.
Yeah. And you know what? Let's not forget, Sheila, before this pandemic madness afflicted the entire planet, the U.S. economy was red hot. Historic highs in the stock market, historically low unemployment rates, even by minorities, Black,
especially
Hispanic.
By minority.
These were numbers never seen before. And, it's kind of interesting to see the usual suspects in the Democratic Party take pot shots at the economic malaise. Well, that's global. That's not Trump's doing. But, of course, they always blame it on Trump. And I think if we didn't have this Wuhan virus, it's always about the economy, I think. And, when you're doing well, when you're paying your mortgage, you can buy a new car, you're not sweating over the grocery bill. That, to me, is success, because that affects Americans right where they're living. And everything was going so beautifully until this virus came along, which, like I said, is no fault of anyone's except the Communist Party in Beijing that infected the world the way they have.
And a bunch of Democrat governors who insisted on locking down their economies and still insist on locking down their economies long after the curve has been flattened.
Yep.
And long after we know more about the virus. Jack Krauser gives us $6.99. I'm not a big gun guy, but if Trudeau wants people's guns, it means he wants a communist dictatorship. I will buy an illegal gun on the street to defend. Can I suggest an alternative as opposed to being something akin to a gangster? And I don't want to say that you're something akin to a gangster, but that you don't want to, participate in the illegal gun trade. Get yourself your RPAL, your restricted possession and acquisition license. Become part of the legal firearms community and be law-abiding. Be that which Trudeau says you are not. Because he says that legal gun owners like myself, like my daughter, like my husband, like so much of my extended family, that we're the problem. We are the ones that are dealing in illegal guns. Don't be that. Be the proper representative of the firearms community that I know that you can be. That's my advice.
It is great advice. And meanwhile, they turn a blind eye to harsh sentences for the gangbangers that are creating another summer of the gun in Toronto. They're handcuffing the police in terms of what they can do, such as carding, the Tavis unit, putting cops in schools, and look at the affliction that we get that way. So, let's go after the law-abiding duck hunters in Saskatchewan and turn the blind eye to the inner city gun thugs. What an amazing policy that is, Sheila?
Well, and also, let's remember, most gun, if you're not buying your firearms at the big retailers like Canadian Tire, Cabela's, or Bass Pro, which I think is the same company, most of your gun shops are independent mom and pop shops. And they're getting hammered right now because they've got inventory that they can't sell, and they're waiting for Justin Trudeau to tell them what it's worth, even though they know through their invoices what it's worth. It's sitting in inventory. Their money is tied up. They can't do anything with it. So get your RPAL, walk in there, buy something from them. Don't participate in the illegal gun trade and help the gangsters. Help your local small business people who are sitting on inventory they can't sell, and buy some of the inventory that they can, because they need all the help that they can get right now.
100%.
And so maybe that's why my husband has that new gun in the gun safe. I owe that guy an apology all of a sudden that I've just talked myself into this. Okay, let's keep going. Great Informer gives us $5. Rebel Media, how do we donate to you in case YouTube decides to demonetize your channel? And are you on BitChute and Josh Who TV? You can donate to us directly on our website. I think it's rebelnews.com/donate. Justin, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's several different ways that you can donate to us there. I'm not sure if we're on BitChute. But we always have a backup plan in case we get nuked off YouTube. So don't worry about that. If that happens to us, it will be annoying and bad because, of course, it's censorship, and censorship is always awful. But it won't be the end of us, because we always have backup plans, and we'll need your help if that ever happens to us. But we'll have lots of plans so that you can still find us.
And Sheila, that is kind of a sort of Damocles swaying over our head, if you will. And I think to bring this back to Donald Trump about the future things he will accomplish, I think you'll see, assuming he's elected, and I think he is elected, and I read an interesting story on the weekend by a pollster who's had 25 of the last 27 elections correct. The only two he missed was Gore and Bush, which was a photo finish, and Kennedy-Nixon, which was another very close race with a lot of voting improprieties attached to it. Anyways, he's predicting a Trump landslide, not just a victory, a landslide. And I think, as we talked about the YouTube issue, one of the biggest issues in the decade ahead, I think, Sheila, is who is controlling free speech in the cyber public square. And I think the Silicon Valley censorious thugs are playing with fire in terms of a president enacting antitrust legislation to break up their monopolies, or I should say oligopolies, and also their monopoly on what they consider to be free speech. So I think that's going to be a huge issue in the years ahead.
And since this question was about donations, I think we are probably inept and in dereliction of duty that we are 40 minutes into the show and we haven't mentioned how people can support your legal fight. And that's at savemenzies.com, because also I'm surprised we haven't had to utilize that URL sooner, to be honest with you. I was kind of shocked actually when I'm like, haven't we already used that? But it was no, we haven't. But that's where people can donate to our legal fight against the city of Brampton and the mayor and everybody involved, because we are not paying that stupid $65 ticket. We're going to get all the legal records. We're going to get all the communications. It's going to be a landslide of documentation we're going to get to fight this ticket. But it is going to be so expensive to make Brampton a little more free and to teach that out of control, corrupt mayor that he does not put himself above the law. There are rules that even Patrick Brown has to follow.
And you know something, Sheila? Let's be honest. I don't need saving. Here I am. I'm a free man. I've got a $65 ticket. But that's not the point. What we are saving is freedom of the press, freedom of expression, freedom of thought, freedom to go onto a taxpayer public facility and practice journalism. And I would even go this far, Sheila, even if you don't like me and don't like Ezra, and God forbid, I can't believe there'd be anyone in the world other than Dion Buse that doesn't like Sheila Gunn Reid. But even if you don't like the people here and you don't like Rebel News and you don't like our slant, well, just in the name of freedom of the press, make that donation, because that's what this is all about. It's not about fighting a silly $65 trespass ticket. It is about ensuring that we can go onto the public square, whether it's an ice rink in Brampton or Nathan Phillips Square in June, Sheila. And if you haven't seen that video, folks, I think it is our best and most important video ever, where we literally took back the square at considerable cost. A lawyer, 7 bodyguards, and boy, did we need them that day. This is what it's all about. So even if you despise Rebel News, if you believe in free speech, you make that donation, because we're fighting for everyone, aren't we, Sheila?
We are. And I don't think I'm talking out of turn when I say something that came up in our morning staff meeting, because we do have morning staff meetings just to bring the remote team like me in on stuff. Ezra made a point that, you know, one of the favorite things that he says, one of his favorite things about Rebel News is that we're a team. Nathan Phillips Square, everybody who could be there that day was there in a show of force, standing up for each other. And that's how we roll. If it happens to one of us, it happens to all of us. And we come together in whatever way we can. We couldn't be there with you and Ezra and the camera guys last night, and even Giddy Mom. But Eitan and I were like, let's get on a live stream. Let's tell the people what's going on. Let's tell our viewers who care as much about you as I think we do, what's happening to Ezra and David right now. And just a personal note, people have said to my husband, because my husband works in the oil patch, so people know who I am. And sometimes we end up in dangerous spots. And it's pretty clear we get a lot of internet hate, and I get a lot of physical threats of physical harm directed at me. And people will say to him, aren't you scared? Are you okay with your wife doing that job? And he'll say, she's got a boss and a company that will scorch the earth under the ground of the person who does something to her. So I'm in good hands when he's away at work and something happens to me. He doesn't have to worry, because I have a boss and colleagues who will move heaven and earth to make sure that I'm okay. And I'm just very glad that I work for that kind of company, because I think for our families who see us in these awful situations, it's very reassuring for them too.
That was beautifully said, Sheila, and I agree with that sentiment 100%.
We got to get through these super chats. There's so many. DD Raptor gives us $5. Have you guys heard about the last Sir John A. statue getting threatened in Regina? I haven't, but I will look into that. Also, thanks for the great streams. Oh, you're very welcome. Great Informer again gives us $5. Rebel Media, please come to Clout Hub. It's a conservative-friendly social media platform. Ken Tate gives us $10. When they actually lock Sneaky P up, as they should, wouldn't you just love to be his cellmate for an hour, David? I don't know. I mean, there are times where for example, the Alberta Legislature Press Gallery, they don't want me there. So, of course, I'm coming now. That's how you get more of me. So Like if Patrick Brown didn't want you as a cellmate, I would be there. I would be like, I brought puzzles. Let's do puzzles. I borrowed a puzzle from Kian.
I'll settle for visiting hours.
Yeah. Pink Phoenix Nails gives us $2. I'm glad to see you're free, Mr. Menzoid. Yeah, definitely. Me too. Terry Hegedus gives us $5. Time to round up all the lackeys that have their tongues stuck on JT's taxpayer's wallet. Time to annex to the U.S. I'm listening. Kate Enmark gives us $5. I feel for poor Mr. or Mrs. Menzoid, her man chilling with the cop. Yeah. Jack R gives us $5. I did check in on Lady Menzoid last night. Jack R gives us $5. Can you guys not seek damages for all the court cases you have won? They never give you.
Yeah.
They never give you the full amount. They give you like a pittance. For example, when I sued Dion Buse for his assault on me at the Women's March, I think we spent $32,000 or $38,000 fighting with him for me to win, to set the record straight. And I think we got a couple grand in fees paid back to us from him. So, I mean, it's nothing.
But, Sheila, I know it's cliche for people to say, especially when they go to court, it's not about the money. But
no, it's definitely not.
It really is. It's not about the money. It is really about the principle.
How could it be about the money? Yeah. We are spending more than any other thing at the company on legals except for salaries.
Exactly.
And that's fighting for freedom.
Imagine
so
that.
If we cared about money, we probably wouldn't spend all that money on lawyers.
Exactly. No, we wouldn't. I mean, it would be the first thing you'd cut. Imagine that, folks. The second biggest expense after salaries, as Sheila said, is our fees, our legal fees. That's incredible. But that is our commitment to standing up for our rights.
Yeah, we're trying to make Canada more free for everybody, and nobody else is doing it. Where are the civil liberties organizations? Have you heard from a civil liberties organization, David? After what happened to you last night, did anybody reach out to you?
Yes, I have. They're very busy trying to get violent offenders out of correctional institutes so they can do COVID-19 social distancing. That's where the Canadian Civil Liberties Association is focused these days. How do you like those apples, folks?
Standing up for rapists, pedophiles, and wife beaters. Yeah. Great. Pink Phoenix Nails gives us $5. Do you think we're going to have police locking people up like that young mother in Australia over a social media post? Wasn't that atrocious? She was pregnant, the sticker in handcuffs, over a social media post in Australia. I mean, that's the kind of thing that you would expect in, well, I guess Hong Kong now, China, North Korea, maybe even Russia to some extent. But in Australia, a Commonwealth country, it's insane.
That was infuriating.
But that's why we do what we do.
Yep.
We're trying to make the country more free. Theo, the local loner, gives us $5. Apparently, Patrick Brown has hired Jonathan Yaniv as a bodyguard to keep David away. That would be effective.
Please, I scare easy.
Ken Tate gives us $5. Thoughts on John MacArthur and Grace Church fight? I don't know that fight. I'm sorry. Thoughts on CDC's 94% versus 6% announcement? We have a colleague, Andrew, who did a great video breaking that down. So after we're done, go over there to the rest of the YouTube page and find it there. Andrew says, did it. Andrew Chapados. Hillary Watt gives us $2. Any news about Australian pregnant lady arrested? I'm sorry, I don't have any other news other than what I just said. Mike Mayer, he's with People versus Predators, says, keep fighting the system, rebels. Thank you, we will. And Mike, you do that too. You're fighting with the bail system all the time to keep convicted and alleged pedophiles behind bars. Random pick, $5. MEDW, $5. David, if you go back to Brampton, do you think Sneaky P will mobilize the entire Brampton police force, the Southern Ontario SWAT team, or both? I think if you go back to Brampton, it's going to be very hands-off. That's what I think. I think he's very embarrassed, and I think he overplayed his hand. That's
we'll have to discuss that. But, I mean, you can always imagine, calling all cars, they're practicing journalism again.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Where's Wendy? $6.99. You guys are making a difference. Thank you. I hope so. Muzzle Flash, $5. Australia has ordered 25 million vaccines and 100 million needles, but for whom? And Unjust Untrudeau gives us $5. Scheer and Steinley had a rally in Regina this morning at the Sir John A. Macdonald statue. Yes, that's right. It was a virtual rally, if I recall correctly, standing up for the statue to stay where it is in Victoria Park. And that is it. We're all cut up. We haven't even shown the video, why people are here in the first place. And there's 10 minutes left in the show.
Yes, no, you're right, Sheila. We showed the origin of what got the whole Patrick Brown Rebel News rivalry, if you want to call it that, going. But it culminated last night when we did kind of a repeat of what we did in June of going to Nathan Phillips Square, when we were being told by security and police, get off the property, you're not wanted here. Meanwhile, there was a filthy tent city whose thuggish occupants are breaking 11 sections of the Trespass Act for 3 weeks running. You know, we're talking about camping overnight. We're talking about urinating and defecating on the public square, taking drugs, being physically violent and verbally abusive to people walking through the square. And we're the ones that are the problem. Well, no, sir. Ezra lawyered up, got those bodyguards. We went there. We reclaimed the square. And after last week, when I was told, you're going to be arrested for trespass unless you get off the property, we got a great lawyer in Giddy Mannon. And Ezra, the boss, he came out himself, and we decided to basically replicate what we did in late June in Toronto's Nathan Phillips Square. This time it was the Earnscliffe Recreation Centre in Brampton. And, here's what went down when we refused to bend the knee.
Not violating a noise regulation. We're not breaking the law.
I'm not.
You believe that I advise my clients to break the law, but I did not ask you to do that.
I'm asking your client to leave.
I understand that.
Okay,
so we're not here to argue about it. It's as simple
So let's just do that.
As this. You're not supposed to be here. They've told you to leave. You're not leaving. I'm telling you to leave. So you should leave.
I think it's incredibly important that you know,
I'm not talking to him.
and I'm talking to you, and I'm talking to you, because you have to know this.
Sir, after he can talk to you all
Are
you
you
want.
willing? Are you ready to leave now?
I am not, sir. I am
Okay,
here.
then I'm going to help you off the property. Let's go.
Is he under arrest?
Not under arrest.
Well, then don't touch him. Don't touch him. Take your hand off him. Take your hand on. That's assault.
I will arrest you.
That's
for
assault.
TPA then.
That's assault.
To arrest him.
That's assault. That's assault.
Are you wanting to leave then?
Arrest him or go away.
You said that there's two
Arrest him or go
options.
away, mate.
Just
Okay.
arrest him.
Okay, I'll
Arrest
arrest
him
you
or
for
go away.
TPA then.
Okay, let's do
Okay.
that. You're arrested.
Would you like me to put hands?
Peel Regional Police, Brampton's finest, arresting a journalist for trying to ask questions of the mayor. They're errand boys for the mayor.
Can we back up?
Peel Regional Police pulling their men off of a murder of a mass shooting at the cemetery.
I'm an officer safety issue.
It's an officer safety. Don't lie. Please don't lie. Stop lying.
You're at the back of my officers, my colleagues. You're not listening to me.
You're not listening to the law, mate. You're not listening to the law. This is public property.
That's
There's a
fantastic.
different standard for the Trespass Act in public property.
Take it up a proper way instead of coming up here like, what's this getting you?
Why are you listening to a hand-scrawled note that's not even served?
Does he have it in his hand? I could verbally ask you or tell you that you're not allowed on the property.
If I didn't have the right to be here, he has the right to be here.
Not when agent of the property has asked you not to.
Not on public property, mate. You're confusing private property with public property.
Take it up a different way.
We will. Look at this. 4 cars, and all you cops pulled off the shooting file. You must be proud.
Someone
right?
has to decide.
No,
the courts have to decide,
and the
right?
courts can decide, but
That's
in the
right.
meantime,
So if if you feel that this is the best way to de-escalate the situation, then so be it.
5 weeks in a row, is that not enough?
Have they disturbed anybody? Have they
5
bothered
weeks.
anybody? Have they destroyed any property?
That's
have they
not my
posed a threat?
call.
Sure it is.
No, it's not.
If you're a security,
Is this
hold
my
on.
first time being
Hold
here?
on. Let me.
I'm talking actually.
Let-
No, I'm going to talk.
Go ahead. Feel free to
This
talk.
is the 5th time in a row.
I understand that.
Right? They are agents of the property whether you like it or not.
Right. This
Okay,
is.
and I get all
this
the
is-
They arrested David Menzies. He's in the car right now.
Go ahead. Sure.
I will
Go ahead.
gladly let you talk.
Very good. Go
But
ahead.
in the end, this is their property.
Yeah,
and they
save
want you to
David.
leave. If you want to argue that,
Thanks, bye.
City of Brampton, and they
That's
are
right.
working as
It's the
as
public's
agents.
property. It's a public
you're just
property.
interrupting me, so this is
Go ahead,
futile.
Wolf. Take all the time you want. Go ahead.
Like this isn't like a
If
little
you
out of
think
hand,
this
right?
is the best way to handle the situation, that's fine. There's courts.
I think the best way for him just to
No,
not come
that's
here
not the best way.
and take it to the courts.
The best way,
Is that David's
the
stuff?
best way is to allow the press to do their job. That's the best way. You don't want to do that,
and
that's fine. That's your
an
judgment
opinion.
call.
And that's an opinion, right?
Of course it's an opinion. It's a legal opinion.
Yeah,
that's
but-
my opinion. And I'm entitled to my opinion still in this country. 100%.
These guys asked him to leave.
He's come 5 times, according to you,
these guys-
and I don't know, according to
You
you,
mind holding on
you've
to the phone?
spoken, now I'd like to have a chance. Well, tell me how long you need to talk. Go ahead. Tell me how long you want to talk.
I could explain it all day, but I think it's just going to fall on deaf ears.
Well, you haven't heard a thing I said, so obviously.
You're going to argue that it's public property.
Well, Sheila, what that whole discussion was about, taking it to the courts, don't argue it here. On my very first visit to Brampton in the first week of August, when we did the outing of Patrick Brown breaking the rules and then lying about it, Paladin Security, which is a private security firm that must have, I would imagine, a multi-million-dollar contract with the city of Brampton. They're everywhere. During the Wuhan virus, they have served as the paid professional snitches for Brampton bylaw, which is to say, and we've got footage of this, they hide in parks, if you can believe this. Yeah. Watch for somebody breaking a bylaw. They don't have the power to write one of those Wuhan virus bylaw tickets, so they call the real bylaw officers to come and they carry out the dirty work. So that's been their role in this, and I can only imagine how many billable hours that security firm has issued to Brampton. But I was given, personally, a ticket on that day banning me from all Brampton recreational facilities for an entire year. Just
me too. They banned me too.
That's the second ticket. There was an additional ticket which banned all Rebel News staff. Now, when our lawyer, Aaron Rosenberg, saw this, he literally broke out laughing. It's not even a real thing. It's not a real ticket, folks. It even had Paladin Security's corporate logo on it. I mean, there was no issuance number. It didn't even look like a parking ticket. It had about as much validity, Sheila, as if I was walking down the street and I had a Monopoly game, go to jail, go directly to jail card, and handed it to someone and go, off you go to Millhaven, mate. You're under arrest. So the point is, there is no there. There is nothing to argue in a court of law. Yeah. These are pieces of paper with a Paladin Security logo on it, right? And that's why we had to assert ourselves there. Now we do have something official. That $65 law enforcement ticket, that's the real deal. And there's, you can plead guilty or guilty with an explanation, or you can fight it. We, of course, are going to fight it. And that's how that all went down. We forced their hand. You're going to have to arrest us if you want to give us a ticket and get us off the property. And the police did. But again, Sheila, you could tell their heart wasn't in this. They're being directed above. I mean, come on. You saw how many cops were there for little old us. And here's the ultimate irony on this whole situation, Sheila. And it just shows how Patrick Brown is going to be undone by his inherent vindictiveness. They didn't even show up that day for the hockey game. Patrick and his Barrie boys did not show up to play hockey, at least not while we were there. If the best way they could have done a twist of the knife in our backs that day, yesterday, Sheila, would be to do nothing. Imagine we go all the way out there with a lawyer, with 4 cameramen, with Ezra, the big boss man himself, and we just stand around like a bunch of stooges for hours, baking under that hot, humid sun. It would have been frustrating. It would have been boring as hell. And that would have been the ultimate comeuppance by Patrick Brown. I tricked you. I've switched my hockey day, and you came out on Wednesday like usual, you bunch of losers. But no, he had to get the police en masse come out there, and now he's created a showdown. This is the part, if you're watching a Bugs Bunny cartoon, folks, where Bugs Bunny has been trampled on to the point where he can't take it anymore. He breaks the fourth wall. He looks into the camera and he says, of course you know this means war. That's where we are right now, Sheila.
Do you know what, David? And I'm a spiteful woman. I am. I know that about myself. I work on it every day, but I am a spiteful woman motivated by spite. I do a lot of things for spite.
I find that very hard to believe.
Makes me a terrible Christian, but probably a really great journalist because of it. And for me, I think one of the greatest things that is going to come out of what we are going to do with the SaveMenzies.com fundraiser. If you want to help David, head right over there. We are going to find out the name of the little rat fink at the rink who keeps calling the security, calling the cops, and of course, calling Patrick Brown and tipping him off that you're there because he's not showing up because he knows you're there. Somebody tipped him off. That's, for sure. And I want to see if buried in Patrick Brown's communications that will surely get in disclosure, we find out the name of the little fink at the rink. And again, that people can help us do that at SaveMenzies.com.
You know, you're right on there, Sheila. We weren't there 5 minutes on that parking lot before the Paladin security SUVs started showing up. And when we didn't listen to them, then the police came. And do you know, it would have been an outrageous overkill, I think, just to have one police cruiser with one police officer show up. 5 police, including a supervisor, for somebody practicing journalism in a public space? Are you kidding me? There is definitely somebody bigger behind this, and can't wait to read the disclosure.
I can't wait. We're past the hour and we still have super chat, so we should quickly zip through these and sign off.
You got it.
Lolly Boomer gives us $1. I don't see a super chat, but that's very generous, Lolly. Thank you. Hard Money gives us $2 of his hard-earned cash and said, is there a protest against the new normal in, I don't know if you're asking me California or Canada. There are protests in Canada happening everywhere, every single week. Just check your local legislature. In California, I think so. There's constant protests. I think it's in Orange County. They have sort of an ongoing one against Governor Gavin Gruesome, and his COVID restrictions.
Oh, and Sheila, if I may say about the protests in California, there's some real tangible protests taking place, i.e. companies are uprooting their headquarters, including, I believe, Elon Musk, Tesla, he's moving his shop to Texas. They've had enough.
Yeah, and Texas is very excited to have all these new businesses, but also apprehensive because they're like, that's great, but don't bring your politics because your politics caused the problem
100%.
Over in California. Ken Tate gives us $5. Sheila, you should look it up. 6,000 to 7,000 people congregate regularly for weeks, no masks, no nothing. LA County trying to shut them down. Can I Play with Madness gives us $10. Thanks, Rebel, for standing up for Canadians who love Canada. You're welcome. Veterans Voice Chris Semchuk gives us $6.99. For David to get a coffee or a relaxing post-jail beverage. Thanks, Rebel. Theo, the local loner, gives us £5. How many times has David been arrested in the past year? Yeah, I don't know why we thought that the potential was there for Ezra to be arrested, because if someone's going to be arrested at the company, it's definitely David, right?
You know, it's amazing because the plan was Ezra thought he was going to get arrested, but we learned yesterday that in Brampton, apparently you get 4 warnings, and then on your 5th violation, I was, that was Ezra's first visit out there. But to me, Sheila, it was deja vu all over again, because it was only September of last year in Whitby when Andrew Scheer had the RCMP arrest and handcuff me. And my thanks again to the Durham Regional Police, who were enormously embarrassed when they came out and saw. I mean, I can only imagine how that emergency call came over to them. The man who might be prime minister is being threatened. So I think 3 or 4 cruisers showed up immediately there. And instead of a assassin in the weeds, it's a guy in a suit trying to do journalism. And they didn't know what to make of it. And they promptly, evidently, they held the hammer whether or not to file charges. The RCMP deferred to local law enforcement. And one of the officers said, just based on their explanation, sir, I've heard enough. You're free to go. So, yeah, try to remember that kind of September when you get handcuffs put on you, Sheila.
Jeez. Okay, we've got...
I'm sorry, I'll shut up.
No, we've got 3 more super chats, and I think then we have to wrap it up.
Okay.
J. Scott V gives us $1.99 and says thanks with an emoji. Derek H gives us $6.99. You guys are great, and I appreciate all you do. Thank you very much. We appreciate that generous donation. Kenton Weidenbeck gives us $20. Small town Wisconsin, trust the plan. Their world did end. Winter solstice 2012. You were all far more important than you will ever know. Take comfort that future generations will praise your work. Thank you, Sheep No More.
Wow.
And that is it.
That was a very profound super chat. Thank you very much. Well, Sheila, I think, as you said, we are 5 minutes into overtime here. So I want to thank Mr. Producer Justin behind the board. I want to thank you, Sheila, for co-hosting with me yet again. And to all our viewers, especially those who contributed to our super chats, because, well, we've got another lawsuit on our hands. We're going to need every penny of this money.
SaveMenzies.com.
SaveMenzies.com. We really do appreciate that. So until Tuesday, folks, have a great long Labor Day weekend. Be safe, have fun. We'll see you next week.